And hello and welcome to Diane Writes. I see I have to adjust my camera again. Thank you so much for the raid, Sherwood Fox, and the sub. That's really awesome. Welcome to the Raiders. Hello everyone. Hello Macaro. Hello Dillian. Hello Barbarossa. Barbarossa, you're a sweetheart. Posture check. Okay, yeah, I should settle in. Hail, hydrate. I hope everyone is well today. Looks like Fox had an awesome writing stream going on, which is great. Oh, thank you. Yes, don't forget glasses. I probably should have a glasses check, shouldn't I? All right, glasses, so I can read the chat properly. If I look tired today, it's because I probably am. I got up very early for me, 7 o'clock. Which is often like an hour or two after I go to bed, but not this time. I tried to go to bed early, but because I was interviewing Janet at World Anvil for my podcast, If This Goes On, Don't Panic. So that was really cool to finally coordinate with her for that. Oh, hello, Mergendor. I hope you're well. Delian says, my hand is tired from 6 hours of trees, so I'm here now. I imagine like 6 hours of making happy little trees makes one kind of worn out, for sure. Yeah, awesome. So today I thought I would, we're still doing nano prep stuff. My hair is still a mess. I don't know why. It's like, I don't know, it's rainy here today, so, you know, I get frizzy sometimes, but okay, so I thought I would start with, since it's Nano Prep Week, I thought I would talk about, the theme for this week is organizing your life for writing. And I might have a thing or two to say about this, so I figured that I should probably, you know, try to offer suggestions and help. I actually teach a class on this, right? And a bunch of other things. It's called Writing in the Cracks, How to Find Time for Writing When You Have None. It's at the Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers, which is an online school that is maintained by Kat Rambo, who used to be the president of SIFWA and who is a Nebula and World Fantasy Award-winning author. Let's see. Just a second here, I'll get you the URL. I should have had that prepared, but Here we go. Search. Yes, okay. So the URL is here. There's a lot of other courses here as well. There's a really amazing course if you've ever had any interest in writing space opera. Anne Leckie, who won like every award in the genre that there is with her Ancillary Justice debut. She teaches a class on writing space opera. There's classes for using literary techniques in genre fiction. There's classes for steampunk and Weird West. I mean, and Kat teaches that one because she writes that genre, and it's there's lots of things that are really cool. So definitely check it out. They're not expensive, and there's usually a sale at the end of the year where they offer all the classes for like $5 for a limited time. So keep your eye on that. I will promote it here when it starts because that is awesome. Mergendor is having trouble getting motivated. Hopefully I will be able to help you with that today. Barbarossa says, do they have stuff on writing non-medieval fantasy or world building? Yes. Oh, and hello, Natalia. Nice to see you. I will go actually and check it out. Maybe I'll show it on the screen here because I'm not sure if I'm not logged in. So okay, but that's all right. I actually don't want to be logged in because I want to show you guys the various courses that they have available. So writing flash fiction, dunking your reader in the details, tool sets for creating an immersive world. There you go, Barbarossa. $19 from Cat Rambo. It's good. It'll be worth the money, right? Hex engines and spell slingers. There's my course right there. Writing in the cracks. Hex engines and spell slingers. Write steampunk, weird western to space opera and beyond with Anne Leckie. Old stories into new, retelling fairy tales, myths, legends, and other narratives. Literary techniques for genre writers. Writing, revising, and fine-tuning your fiction. Description and delivering information for genre writers, which is also about world building. How to deliver information and build a world without slowing down your story. This is the topic of discussion from last week. Moving from idea to finished draft. Different kinds of story inspiration and what to do with them. Character building workshop. Reading to an audience workshop. So if you've ever, I mean, come on, most writers are introverts, so we kind of need to know how to do that. The power of words, everything fantasy and science fiction writers need to know about linguistics. So you're a conlanger, you're going to want that class. Writing interactive fiction for game writers and those interested in trying interactive writing. Getting your pod on, podcasting for writers. That's taught by my co-host, Alan Bailey, with whom I do the If This Goes On podcast. Epistolary fiction. Fiction written as a series of documents by Jamie Lackey, who is an amazing science fantasy writer. That's when, you present it as letters or diary entries or newspaper articles, right? And writing your way into your novel, How to Find Your Path by Putting Words Down, aka pantsing it. So, I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. I'm working on a world building course for it. Hopefully I'll have something for that by the end of the year. So lots of cool stuff. I think it is a great resource, Shai. I really do. If you can't afford it, there are scholarships for people who do not have the money to attend at the prices. They are limited, but they are available, and all you have to do is write Kat at her website, which I will provide, which is not there. That is, let's see, but I believe it's Kitty Wumpus is her website. But yeah, just a second here. I'll make sure I get the spelling right. Yes, kittywumpus.net is her website. I'll show it to you when it loads, but eventually it'll load, I assume. Holy cow. Is that because I'm not looking at it? Wow. I really do not like this new Windows update, man. I tell you, it's just been creating problems ever since. But this is her website. That's Kat. This is the information on classes here, right? You get a discount if you're on our Patreon. You get a discount to my class if you're on my Patreon too, by the way. Events calendar, right? And she'll talk to you about how to get scholarships, information on free scholarships. They're usually taught live and then filmed, and the live ones are, of course, more expensive, right? You know, done by Zoom or whatever. Yeah, so it's an awesome resource. There is the address. So, Barbarossa says, as you know, I'm not good at creating medieval stuff. I like guns and such. Yeah, so everybody's got their own area of expertise. Kajutan says, good morning, evening. I hope you're feeling good today. I am. So after I've done my little spiel on preparing your life for writing, we could probably go over your work there, Kajutan. So we will try to do that. Barbarossa says, I love playing medieval fantasy, but it's definitely not something I can write. How do you know? Give it a try. Natalia got her cover. Yay! If you have a link to share in the chat, feel free. We'd love to, cheer you on and support you. That's great. Welcome, DM Stretch. Good to see you. Yeah. All right, so organizing your life for writing. So Stephen King writes in his book on writing that in order to write, you need a door you can close. He also writes 2,000 words a day. I think this must be nice, right? Because he has no other job, and he has a wife who will do his laundry, right? Most of us don't have that luxury, right? Virginia Woolf famously wrote an entire, sort of an essay, sort of a story called A Room of Her Own, that basically said a woman must have a room of her own in order to write. And that must be nice too. Most of us live in crowded quarters, I'm not a wealthy person. The only reason why I have this room is because the teenagers moved out and I still don't get to use it all the time, So, let's see. Oh, cool. Okay. Natalia is going to do a cover reveal on Monday in Karin J. Fox's stream, right? So make sure that you check him out. He's on in the mornings, usually. Just a second, I'll check the Anvilite calendar. Morning's my time, anyhow. Yeah, all right. So Monday at 6 p.m. UTC. Right, so that would be, okay, that's 1 o'clock for me, 11 a.m. Pacific time. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try to make it. That is awesome. Hey Daz, nice to see you, and hi Greg, good to see you too. Welcome. Shirad Fox says, ooh yeah, my office is my son's room too. I lose it when he comes home. Yeah, no doubt. Greg is lurking during the day job. He is cheating on his job. That is awesome. Very cool. And Barbarossa redeemed, make me write a paragraph. So, excuse me for a minute. I will write a paragraph. Let's see here. I actually have started my article on the Dark Harvest Challenge. I have a festival called Arame. Well, it's not really, it's more of an observance in some areas. It's kind of intended to be a combination of Halloween and Remembrance Day with some Asian ancestral honoring aspects kind of thrown in. So I thought, I gotta write about this thing anyway, I might as well do that. So, let's see here. Where can I easily write a paragraph? Okay. Festival of the Dead, celebrated or observed through most of the former Avalonian Empire, but there are significant variations depending on culture, ethnicity, and geographic location, representing the cross-quarter between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice in the old Avalonian calendar. Arame is still usually associated with the harvest, but activities vary depending on the local climate. So let's see. Let's look at the prompts. It's usually a good thing to spark my... Okay, execution. That's going to be a long section because I'm going to have to do that for each of the different elven ethnicities. Okay. So, history. Arame likely began as the third of 3 harvest festivals in Avalon. I wonder if I have an article for Avalon. I do. Okay, good. I thought so. It's a stub right now. I don't have anything written in it. Okay. Likely began as the third of 3 harvest festivals in Avalon. The first... Now I have to remember the names of the holidays. Rumarera. I'll have to... Rumarera tradition. Was the grain harvest. The second... autumn equinox. What the hell did I call that? I don't remember. I'll look it up in a minute. Leave a comma there. Was the fruit and vegetable harvest. It's the fruit harvest, actually. It's usually fruits that come due. And May was the time for harvesting nuts and squashes and slaughtering the farm animals. One did not intend to feed over the winter. It was also a traditional time for large hunting expeditions intended to feed a town, family, or tribe, since it was the season of rut for most of the local antlered prey animals. There, that's a paragraph. Thanks for that, Barbarossa. I will be back to here. No, not cheating, says Greg. Funny, that's cool. Dillian says, my father built himself a whole separate garage, which he now uses as an office. This sounds like a plan. You can always build yourself your own office if you got space, I suppose. Right? Barbarossa says, I shouldn't be wasting my points here when there are games to chaos make. Well, that's true. You could be saving them for Monday night to be driving us insane, but I think you still have at least 1 point redemption for a reroll that hasn't been used yet, so... Yeah, Shire Fox says I like that point redemption. Okay, so the next message was from Moobot, and that's something actually I was meaning to talk about. Somebody pointed me in the direction of a neat thing called Streamlab Charities, and National Novel Writing Month registered there this year as a charity. So I'm raising money for National Novel Writing Month, guys. I do it every year. It takes money to operate. A lot of their grants and whatnot that they usually get this year collapsed under COVID, like pretty much everybody's finances. So if you have a couple extra bucks, click on that link, go there, and, you know, give them $5 or whatever, right? My goal is only $1,000. I don't think that, you know, we're a bunch of wealthy people. We're already actively supporting each other on Twitch, but, you know, you got a couple spare bucks, you know, they deserve it. So Daz says, my Dark Harvest idea isn't an article, but more of a historical event. Okay, that's cool. What were the conditions there anyway? You could do it as a tradition, as a, I don't remember. I'm not sure. I'll look it up in just a second. Writer Greg says, has there been an instruction document on where to get the icons for Game of Tomes and report on them when NaNoWriMo starts? I can help you with that. Okay, so this is the Game of Tomes image resource page right there. And just download the zip file, unpack it and delete what you don't want because it's easier that way. This is the point setup article. We've recently added an instruction video. I guess I've got to reload the page. Must have been a while. My cache here hasn't updated, but there we go. There it is. Okay, there's an instruction video about how to set it up that Dinosaur Bob did. So there is the info there. And there is information about how to report once things are underway. Yeah, I did think that I did that to myself. Under the engagement section on the main page, where we've also now got a video from Dinosaur Bob, which is, okay, now that's an explanation. What? That's the wrong video. Okay, just a minute. Maybe I gotta reload this page too. Sorry. That's right, okay. So for reporting results after a stream. And that's on the main Game of Thrones page, which I think is there. There it is. Okay. So I hope that helps. There is information. Yeah, and I'm sorry it took so long to get it organized. If you have any trouble, let me know, and I'll be happy to try to help. Or you might want to talk to Dinosaur Bob, because he did amazing tutorial videos that really clearly explained things in a way that I probably would not have been nearly as good at. I am all over the place when I try to explain things sometimes. He was very focused, to the point, and demonstrated everything. He did a great job. So I really appreciate it. Makaro says, I'm going second Harvest Festival just before the winter for my Dark Harvest. Lighting a fire is remembrance of the deceased since the last time, since travel times mean a lot of people would not be able to attend funerals. Yeah, it's legit. Combining it with donations that are then given to those with the lowest supplies so everyone can survive the winter. That's excellent, right? Including donating one branch for the Flames of Remembrance and donating more firewood for those that may be short on it. That is a really cool idea that kind of, really immerses you in a more, like, before technology was so easily available, right? Firewood was a big concern, and still often is in some places, especially in the north, where wood is still one of the most effective and cost-efficient heating methods. So, and Dinosaur Bob is here. Speaking of the devil, good to see you. All right, and Greg will read them after work. No doubt, that's fair enough. And thank you for asking. That's great. Okay, so I was going to talk about organizing your life for writing. Okay, so most of us cannot shut ourselves in our own room for, until they get 2,000 words a day. But you might be able to shut yourself in a corner of the house to get 1,667 words a day for a month, right? So in order to lay that out, let's see. I'll offer suggestions on the things that I do in order to prepare for Nano. Now, I've been doing it for 10 years, so my house knows that in November I disappear. And basically, I do use the Stephen King rules. I lock myself in my office or in a corner of the living room or at my kitchen table, and I put on headphones, which are a great way to get privacy if you don't actually have privacy. Put on music without lyrics would be my advice, so you don't get distracted by, singing to the song that you like, unless it really immerses you in the world. If you got like a world playlist, put that on. Absolutely. Right? And then, I sit there until it's done. Right? And sometimes that takes 2 hours, and sometimes that takes 12 hours. And that's how I handle it. Now, not everybody's going to be able to do that. Some people have 9-to-5 jobs that they have to go to. Even I am not going to be able to do that this year because I have all kinds of personal responsibilities, helping out my mom and, right, this and that. So, however, it is helpful if you can negotiate to set aside a dedicated block in which to write every day. Right? And negotiate with the people in your life. You say, I really care about this. This is important to me. I just want to do this for 1 month. I need 2 hours in the morning to write. Leave me that. Right? And I find that most of our loved ones are pretty willing to put up with it for a month. So, negotiate about what you're going to need. If you've never done Nano before, then, talk to them about how you might need to be flexible. If you have done it before, then you know exactly what you're going to need and you should negotiate for it. Right? Another thing that you can do is that you can do preparation to make things easier for yourself in day-to-day tasks without, interruptions. Now, for many people, this will be a lot easier during the pandemic. But, okay, so one thing is buy supplies in advance if you can. Right? Don't go to the grocery store every day because that wastes your time. Every time you go to the grocery store, like I have a grocery store that's a literal 5-minute drive from my house. And if I go there 45 minutes, that's what that takes. Right? Because you got to get in and you got to find the stuff and then you got to stand in line and then you got to pay for it and then you got to drive back. Right? And it takes longer than you think. So I try to buy as much as I can in advance, or I buy it weekly and create a devoted shopping trip. And that's what I do. And I try to make a list beforehand because otherwise I might forget something and then I'll have to stop at the store again on the next day, and that's a pain, and not to mention kind of risky during the pandemic, right? So yeah, Shirad Fox has good suggestions. She says, I order my groceries and pick them up. Some places do that for free with a minimum order. Yeah, exactly. And even the ones that don't generally only charge a minimal fee. So, you can look into that. Right? It's very helpful. Honestly, if I'm a paid employee of, I don't know, whatever grocery store around here, Freshco, right? If I'm a paid employee of Freshco, I don't really care whether I'm getting paid to put things through a till or if I'm picking stuff off the shelf and putting it in a cart, right? As long as you're paying me for my time, whatever, right? So yeah, that is an option, and that can be very helpful. The other thing is plan out your meals beforehand if you have any way of doing so, right? If you have a freezer and a crock pot are like my two best friends during Nano. What I'll do is, starting about now, I'll start to make up a bunch of meals that can be frozen in small parts, in small containers, like stews or soups or casseroles, right? Cook them in my crock pot, right? Or I can put them in the crock pot in the morning and then have them fresh at night. I've got stuff I can heat up if need be. I get snacks, right? I invest a little bit more in junk food than I normally would during NaNoWriMo because sometimes you really just want to grab something quick and you really don't want to spend a lot of time cooking, right? So, if you like TV dinners and can eat them, they can help. I usually can't because they generally contain ingredients that I have trouble digesting, so I have to make my own, and so that's generally how I handle it. One of our local Rymos, who is my co-municipal liaison for the Okanagan Valley, Angelica, she always does like, here's some nano recipes for you, right? But it's all, stews, soups, and casseroles that you can freeze in small amounts, right? Makaro says, I pay €10 a month to have weekly deliver slots on Thursday. An expensive delivery slot was already €8. It's cheaper this way. And he'll be right back. And that's cool. And hello, Esong. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Yay. So, yeah, these are some things that I do. I haven't always had my own office. So when I have not, I have tried to the best of my ability to clear a workspace, right? And that has been a chair in the living room with a lap desk, right? It has been a corner of the kitchen table, right? And I clear that spot and I dedicate myself to the fact that that is going to be where I write. And when I sit down there, that's what I do. I don't check Twitter, I don't eat dinner, right? When I sit down at that spot, it's time to write. And this is something that I really find is often neglected when people are trying to teach themselves to make use of their limited time in order to write. And that is create a writing ritual for yourself. Something that you do that will trigger to your mind, it's time to write now. You already do this in your everyday life. If whatever your go-to-bed routine is, it's usually got a pretty prescribed pattern, and there's things you listen to or don't listen to, or lights you turn off or on, or white noise you might listen to, or whatever that triggers your brain that it's time to sleep now. You can do this with writing. You can have a routine that you establish before you sit down to write. And you can put on a particular song and train yourself that song means it's time to write now. Or you can put on like a stupid writing sweater, right? Get yourself one of those cardigans you always see in the movies that the professors use and the starving writers who are on their retreats, and put that on and sit down in front of your computer, and you'll be amazed at how effective that is. And that way you're not spending a bunch of time going, oh, what am I doing? And distracting yourself with other things when you're sitting down to write. Oh, I love the idea of the writing ritual, says Shadow Fox. I find it very effective. I really do. So, yeah. It's just to jump to the left. Sure, do the hokey pokey, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It can be anything. Put on a perfume, right? Absolutely anything. If it triggers any of your senses, and you only do it when you're writing, you will quickly train yourself to the fact that that is what you're doing when you do those things. The more senses you bring to bear in any ritual, the more effective it will be. So if you can cover all 5 of them, you're golden, right? Coffee's got taste and smell. Maybe sit down with cinnamon coffee when you're going to write. And don't drink cinnamon coffee at any other time during the day. Yeah. So, let's see. What else can I... Yeah, chocolate, says DM Stretch. Why not? Actually, chocolate raises creative brainwaves. So, you didn't know that. So now I need to come up with a grading ritual, says Esong. Delia says, damn, I only drink cinnamon coffee. Okay, so drink peppermint coffee when you're going to write. Whatever. You can do a rum-laced coffee, says Dinosaur Bob. Well, I mean, you could do, what was it, Hemingway's advice? Write drunk, edit sober. Yeah, always wore chocolate. There's a reason why writers are often associated with things like drinking, or drinking a lot of coffee, or, smoking, or whatever, and that's because these things do change your consciousness, and if you change your consciousness, you can often find the mental space in which to write. I mean, I don't advise taking up bad habits in order to facilitate your writing, but they do work, and they can be a shortcut. I would recommend you don't make them part of your writing ritual, though. It's just my advice. If you're going to do that, I would save those for okay, I'm absolutely stuck. It's been 2 days. I've written 10 words. Fuck. I have to do something. Save it for that. Right? Yeah. I like that idea, Bob, says Delia. Rum coffee's good. I'll take a nap after 2 of them, but Natalia says, if there's no peace and quiet in the house, I move my office to the library. That's another option. If you really can't get the space, and thank you for bringing that up, if you really can't get the space to write and concentrate within your house because there's always so many things going on, ask if, it's all right if you spend 2 hours a day at the library or at the coffee shop, right? Again, this is harder to do. This is one of those things difficult to do during the pandemic. It depends on where you are. Might be open, your climate, depending if it's easier to go outside than inside. I do not go anywhere outside in November if I can help it in Canada, because it's pouring cold, bloody rain 90% of the time in this area, and I would wreck my computer. So we're not doing that, but the public library is open, right? I could go there. Yeah. Delian says, hot chocolate will also be nice. Yep. Chocolate is euphoric. It raises positive brainwaves, which actually facilitates creativity. Dinosaur Bob says mushrooms. Yes, that could work. Actually, mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms do the same thing. They just do them really a lot. So I would not take very much if you're going to use those. And I'm not advocating for the use of illegal substances in the areas where they are illegal, but they will work, right? So I would be lying to you if I said they wouldn't. Yeah, they will. I would suggest microdosing though, if you're going to do that, right? Shara Fox says, oh yeah, Desert Rain, yeah, has a crockpot hot chocolate recipe I hope to drag out of her. Oh, nice. I am keenly interested in that myself. Delian says, I once ordered Irish coffee at a restaurant without having a clue what it was. Uh-oh. Young 18-year-old Dell was not expecting the whiskey. That had to be a bit of a surprise, for sure. DM Strut says, off to the fridge for a chocolate biscuit. I hate you now. Now I want chocolate too. I have chocolate out there. I'm going to get some in the break. Okay, we can do this. I don't hate you anymore, Stretch. I have chocolate, so it's okay. Yeah. Let's see what else here that I can come up with. The key is to clear away as many obstacles as you can. If you're one of these people who has to have a clean house, clean the house before Nano, right? Do a massive clean. Do it now, right? Start now. Do like the spring cleaning, only do it in the fall, or I don't know. Spring cleaning if you're in the southern hemisphere, I suppose. The Australians are, and the Polynesians are, doing their spring cleaning. But yeah, clean the house beforehand, and then that way you're less likely to make a mess over the long term. But really, if you can do it, you know what? The dishes will wait 2 days. They will, right? They will still be there tomorrow. It will not end the world if you do not do them tonight. So if you're stuck and you need the time, you can delay it, right? It helps if you live with people that you can ask to help pitch in a little more while you are concentrating on writing for this month. But yeah, right? They can wait. Yeah. Yeah, Natalia wants chocolate too. Stretch says, I don't think my neighbors would like it if I started cleaning right now. Well, it's ridiculous o'clock in the morning for you, but you know what I mean. Today, come on, right? Or tomorrow after sleep. Because for me, the day ends when I go to bed and it starts when I get up, and I don't care what the actual date is. E-Song says, the problem is dishes multiply. Yeah, they do. But 1 sinkful of dishes and 2 sinkfuls of dishes isn't, it's up to you, right? But this is my advice. And this is the advice that Chris Beatty, who's the guy who invented NaNoWriMo, gives in his book about it, which is to say that, this stuff all seems life and death, but it really isn't. And it can wait, right? If you need it to wait. Because, you want to do this for yourself, right? And it's only a month, but But again, that's your own personal decision. If your process is such that it works better for you to have a clean house before you can work, well, then for fuck's sakes, get it all done, right? So that it's not distracting you while you're working on your stuff, right? But don't go, don't guilt yourself into doing the dishes if you don't care, right? They can wait. I mean, you don't want the house to get, filthy, but, yeah. Dinosaur Bob's talking to Dillian about the awesomeness of Irish coffees. Irish coffees are great. You can drink them all night. The caffeine cancels the alcohol until 20 minutes after your last one, more or less. Yeah, Greg says the alarm clock must go off at 4 a.m. every day. That's when the day starts. I don't envy you for being such an early worm or an early bird, but good for you. Yeah. Delian, take a dish cleaning sprint every once in a while. That's true. If you're going to get involved in these virtual write-ins and whatnot that the ASC and National Novel Writing Month do, right, which they offer, right? National Novel Writing Month does do virtual words write-ins, and where they have sprints throughout the course of the month, right? You can also do sprints on the Nano Word Sprints Twitter account. They run them basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except when they absolutely cannot get a volunteer for a slot. And, you can do that, right? Or you can watch the ASC and all the various writing programs that we've got going on. It's pretty close to 24-hour a day, 7-day a week coverage at this point, right? There's not a lot of periods where you will not be able to find one of us who will be doing something related to nano and sprinting during November. But if you're going to do that and run it kind of like your constant daily routine, you're right. You might occasionally go, okay, instead of writing this 15-minute sprint, I'm going to go and do some dishes. And then I'm going to go back to my computer after this 15 minutes and I'm going to do a word sprint. And then I'm going to get up again and do another 15 minutes at the dishes. And this way you don't end up, because, when I start doing the dishes, then I look at the counters and I realize how messy they are. And then I look at the stove and I think how badly the elements need to be cleaned. And after that, I realize that once I've wiped down the stove, it's whiter than the wall, and on we go, right? Don't do that to yourself. Just do the damn dishes and get back to work, Yeah. Early worm gets the burb, says Delian, who caught my slip of the tongue there. Greg says, I have to wake up that early to get the stream in before the kids wake up and need to go to school. That brings up another excellent point. Sometimes only awkward hours of the day are going to be available to have a dedicated writing space. It is really not uncommon for writers to do what Greg does, which is gets up a couple of hours early before the kids have to get up for school so that he can get an uninterrupted space in which to write. Jamie Buckley does the same thing. He doesn't do it in word sprints, but he does get up rather early to give himself that creative time. And that works, right? If that's what you need to do, do it. I don't tend to be a good morning person, but one thing I have done is gone to bed early, slept for 4 hours, gotten up in the middle of the night, written for 2 hours, and then gone back to bed for another 4. And that used to be a thing. They used to call that co-sleeping, and it's actually something that people did pretty commonly in the winter months when there were long periods of dark, right? So that is something that you can do as well. And if that's what you need to do to set aside that time to write, do it. It won't hurt you. Yeah, that's DM Stretch says to Greg, that's about when I go to bed. Yeah. Natalia says, or get a dishwasher. That can be helpful. I find, though, that stacking the dishes and then cleaning up afterwards takes almost as much time as washing the dishes. So, plus, but I mean, whatever floats your boat, whichever you find easiest, right? Esong says, one of the people on Brandon Sanderson's writing team voluntarily took a 3-hour train commute just so that they would have the time to write. That also can work. I've done a lot of writing while I've been on my way to events and festivals, while I've been in the passenger seat of the car with the laptop in my lap. I've done that. Or my phone. So, Mergendor says, question. So Nano's goal is 50,000 words, but for a typical fantasy novel is about 100,000 words. I guess that means you have half a novel at the end of Nano. This has been my experience. I tend to write, the Toy Soldier Saga series is fantasy space opera. Space opera also tends to have rather long stories. When I did my first NaNoWriMo, I started the first novel in the series, which I'm, reworking for final edit now, right? It's called A Few Good Elves, right? And I finished the 50,000 words, but it took me until February to finish the book. And when it was done, it was about 160,000 words. But even if you only have half the novel, that's half the novel you didn't have, right? And if I hadn't made a habit of writing every day and gave it that kind of attention and focus that it deserves in my life because it's important to me, then I never would have published a thing, right? So this is one of the reasons why I'm such a strong advocate for it. So yeah, you might end up with half a novel, and then maybe you'll go Rebel next year and finish the other half. I've done that too, and I'm doing it this year. So have at it. That's, yes, the traditional rules are that you start a new novel and write a 50,000 word novel. And I have almost never done that. I did that the first year, and it wasn't a finished novel at the end of it, but it was 50,000 words that once I had written them, I was, now I got to finish it. I did 50,000 words. I can't just waste this. So I did. And as a result, I finished other things as well, learned to get into a regular habit of writing, and on we go. So, that's why I strongly advocate for it and why I love doing it. Yeah. So, Delian says, the dishwasher is evil. I keep looking for dishes to use, but all the dishes go hiding there. See, that's the problem with dishwashers. Natalia says, I'm so glad that I publish in the Netherlands. 70,000 words is acceptable. Any length of novel is acceptable, but it's a matter of what's expected for the genre and country you're in. Yeah, right? If the story, I say write the story, right? And the story will take as long as it takes. And if it's a short story, awesome, right? And if it's a novella, great. And if it's a novel, fantastic. And some of them are series, like the one I'm working on, and that's a series. It's a bit like Lord of the Rings, really. The story isn't actually over in the first book, right? That's the first part of the story, right? It's actually going to take me something like 5 books of about 150,000 words each to tell this story. So, Dinosaur Bob says, I'm cheating too. 12 short stories around a theme. That is a cool concept. I agree with Mergendor completely. I have also done, when I was trying to maintain a regular schedule of serializing my Weird West stories before I put the first 6 together into a coherent novel, right? I published them every 2 months, I think was basically what I was doing. So I was working on ending one, finishing another, and then doing a short story for a deadline as the third part. And this took me to the 50,000 words, right? So I've done that. 4 short stories I did 1 year or 2, and I don't even remember which ones they were. So I was trying to get into some anthologies, which I did not succeed at. But that's okay. Thank you for the hydrate. Hail, hydrate. Hello, Darth. How are you today? So, Kajutan, did you want me to go over your first chapter of your science fiction story today? And about how long is it, just so I know? We're coming up on 2 o'clock, so now is a good time to think about going into the next stage. Do you guys have any other questions about trying to organize your life for writing? Understand that everything that I've put forth here is a suggestion, right? They may not work for everybody. Certainly, not all of it will work for everybody, so take what you can use and reject the rest. It's my suggestion. Darth says, doing good. Think my stream stuff is fixed. It let my test stream go on. That's great. That is very cool. Good. I'm relieved. You're funny, you song. Yeah. Kajutan says his story is about, or his first chapter is about 2,190 words, so about 2,200 words. Okay, we'll see how we do. I don't think I want to do that for more than an hour, so that's when we're quitting regardless, but I will see what I can get through. Or would you guys prefer I do that for the third hour, and then we'll get some writing done first? It's totally up to you. Let me know. Right. Yeah, Esong says, she's lying. It's actually a command. Do it or prepare to be boarded. You're funny. That's great. Darth thinks it's one of the shirts. That's cool. Yeah, take the tools you need. Exactly, Natalia. That's exactly right. DM Stretch says, well, I ordered myself a new high-back office chair last night. There's a plan. Right, can't wait for that to arrive. My neck is aching right now due to no head support. I hope that works out for you. That's awesome. I'm off for the conversation right now, says Esong. Let's do the review and then write. Okay, that makes sense to me. If nobody else has any strong feelings about it, that's cool. I'm gonna, all for the conversation. Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna quickly take my first break then. If you guys have any questions about anything I've discussed so far, or just any about writing in general, feel free to throw it in the chat while I'm gone. I will answer it when I get back. And Kajutan, if I can prevail upon you to put that link up again for me, we will have a look at your work. All right, see you guys in a moment. All right, we are back. Thanks for your patience, guys. If I'm a little rough, I apologize, but I grabbed a little chocolate on the break because I needed chocolate and I needed something to, raise my blood sugar because I've been so busy today I forgot to eat, so I'm silly. All right. So in the meantime, we have the link to Kajutan's work. Looks like everybody wanted the review first, so that's great. Perfect. I was kind of skimming through it during the break. So I want to ask a couple of questions there, Kajutan, that will help me to better figure out how best to be of assistance to you, right? And the questions are about how old are you, right? Because I don't normally ask that. And how long have you been writing for? And the reason why I ask that is because you'll tell different things to different people depending on where they're at, right? So some discussion of this Halloween game coming up on Dinosaur Bob's channel, which is very exciting. The super spicy chocolate, asked Daz. Unfortunately, no, I do not have any of it. It was just dark chocolate, but it's really good. I really like it. It was one of those giant chocolate bars, and I'll break off like a few squares at a time and eat them. So 22, writing for about 5 to 6 years, but no publications. Okay, perfect. That actually helps me quite a bit. Okay. Chapter 1. Oh, yeah, and one more question. How thorough do you want me to be with this? I don't remember exactly what the point value was. Was it the 1,000 point one that you renewed? Because I can be pretty thorough. Okay, in the world of the new frontier. I am terrible with Polish names. You will have to tell me how to pronounce this. By Kajutan Krakowiak. I don't know how you pronounce that particular A or what that accent on the S means. I'm very sorry. Schwitnicki? Do I have that anywhere near? Thorough, please. All right. Here we go. Chapter 1. Though it was 10 years since the invasion, I was still getting nightmares at night. The most common one was the first night of the invasion. I was 8 years old when the aliens attacked. We were living in Edinburgh in a typical British townhouse. I'll stop you right there. Typical British townhouse. I live in Canada. I don't know what a typical British townhouse is. Perhaps you could include a word or two of descriptor. Like, are you talking about those brownstones? Because people generally know what that kind of thing means, right? Or maybe DM Stretch can help you out a bit, right? Because, hey, he's in the UK, right? So, the night of the attack, I was woken up by a very loud sound which resembled thunder. Resembled is accurate, but it's a word that often implies seeing rather than hearing. It's not, I mean, it's legitimate, right? But it implies, let me see if I can help you out with that. Thesaurus. You said thorough. Resemble. I would just say something like a lot like thunder. Right? Or a noise that I thought was thunder, or I was woken up by what sounded to me like a thunderclap. Something like that, right? I sat on my bed and you've got a typo there, it's got A, so you'll want an ND. Looked out the window. I saw a big black cloud of smoke moving upwards. Okay, so I recognized that English is a second language, correct? Writing in English is really hard, and writing in English when it is not your first language is even harder, right? So I may have a lot of critiques about the power of the word. I don't know if that's something you want me to do. If you don't want me to offer those, that's fine. But moving upwards isn't really very descriptive, right? Again, this, if you don't want this kind of advice, just tell me. It's totally fine, right? I would use, you know, exploded upwards, or exploded into the air, or a big black cloud of smoke drifting into the sky, or, you know, give me more of a feel of how it's moving, right? I want to immerse myself in your world. I want to smell things. I want to use my senses to feel that I'm there, especially with something like this, which is a traumatic flashback, right? You really want the reader to feel what's going on. Like, it's not just about describing the situation and saying, you know, this happened and that happened and the other thing happened. It's about, you know, making the reader feel what the character feels. Because if you do that, then you draw the reader in, and they, you know, they start caring about your character, and they want to, you know, they want to see how things work out for the character. So it's just a thought. It's up to you if you want it. Reminiscent of thunder, that's excellent. I like that a lot. Yes, okay. It is V in Polish. I thought it was. Okay, I wasn't sure. Kajetan, Krakowiak, Zwietniki. Okay, hopefully I'm somewhere closer. Correct me. I want to get it right. It's important to me. Almost good. Okay, cool. Help me out. Help me out. I really want to get it right. Okay. Anyway, big black cloud of smoke. Seconds later, I saw an object falling down from the sky. How is it falling? Is it plummeting? Is it drifting? Is it crashing? Yeah. Okay. It exploded not far from the cloud of smoke with a similar boom. Then my mom ran into the room and grabbed me by the shoulders. Okay. It's very important that you seize your reader by the scrotum, right? With your first paragraph. You want to draw them in such a way that they cannot, you know, grab them by the crotch, make them care, make them really want to find out what's going on, right? So you want to immerse them in the situation. Personally, I would start this without the first two sentences. I would start it with, I was 8 years old when the aliens attacked. We were living in Edinburgh in, you know, however you describe the townhouse. I was woken up, I was, on the night of the attack, I was woken up by a very loud sound that you said was reminiscent of thunder. That's what you said. I sat in my bed and looked out the window. I saw a big black cloud of smoke drifting upwards. Seconds later, I saw an object plummeting from the sky. It exploded not far from the cloud of smoke. Instead of saying with a similar boom, I might say the windows rattled with the force of the force of the boom, you know, or something like that. Okay. Then my mom ran into the room and grabbed me by the shoulders. And now we're there, because we don't need to know that this is a dream yet. We'll find out, right, that this is a flashback. But you could start by just, we're in the dream, and there's shit happening, and stuff's falling from the sky. I was 8 years old when the aliens attacked. Okay, so we know we're in an alien invasion story. Awesome, right? All this shit happens. Then mom runs into the room. I'm a kid, I'm 8 years old. Being 8 years old, this is all terrifying and overwhelming. I don't really understand what's going on. Yeah. Okay. We have to go, Sophie, she said. You need a period at the end of that sentence. I would even skip that. We have to go, Sophie. I would take she said off it entirely. Just not. Right? Because we already know mom ran into the room. Right? And we don't really need the dialogue tag there to know it was her who said that. We can infer it by the context. So, okay. What's happening, Mommy? I don't know, sweetie, but important people say to hide in the basements. You need a period between the S and the quotation mark. That's great, because that sounds to me like, I would like to know more as an adult about what important people and what they said, but I assume this was probably an emergency broadcast over a radio or a television or the internet, right? And, we're getting a quick explanation from a child's perspective. I think it's actually really good that we don't know exactly what's going on and we're seeing this through Sophie's eyes, right? And hearing it through Sophie's ears and memories. Okay, Mom took me to the basement. Meanwhile, my dad was carrying food downstairs. I don't remember how much time we spent down there until the soldiers found us. I would skip this during the time we spent there, right? I was crying almost all the time. We know that must be during the time you're down there. During the invasion and shortly after. No, actually, skip during the invasion and shortly after. Right? I was crying almost all the time. Actually, hold on. Let me think about this. Spent crying almost all the time. During the invasion, shortly after, I had a nightmare about being in the basement almost every night. Only when we settled into a new life in Poland, in Warsaw, I started to return to normal. Or is that pronounced in Poland? Is that pronounced Warsaw? I'm, because we anglicize everything and it's kind of offensive, really. So, let me know. Right? I started to return to normal, or at least to a level of normal possible in the situation we were in. There's something wrong with that sentence, but let's see. Let's see. How can I help you with this? Let's see. You know what? Forget what I said. Actually, especially if you get rid of those first two lines at the beginning and just start with, I was 8 years old when the aliens attacked, then actually you do kind of need this whole paragraph, right? Mom took me to the basement. Meanwhile, my dad was carrying food downstairs. I don't remember how much time we spent down there until the soldiers found us. I was crying almost all the time. During the invasion and shortly after, I had the nightmare about being in the basement almost every night. Only when we settled into our new life in Poland and Warsaw, I started to return to normal, or at least to the level of normal that was possible in the situation we were in. It's just a little grammar fix there. So. Warsaw? Neat. Warsaw. Cool. Okay. All right. I woke up early in the morning, sweating. I would say that rather than it. That was normal after the nightmare. I grabbed the phone off the night table. Don't describe like I moved the hand towards the night table and grabbed the phone. Then I brought my hand back to my face and looked at the phone. We don't need a play-by-play here. Summarize some of this, right? This is a common mistake of newer writers, and it's something that I have done myself a lot. And that's even after 5 years. I'm still going through a manuscript I wrote 10 years ago and editing out stuff like this. So, right? Yeah. I grabbed the phone from the night table. The screen lit up the moment I looked at it. And I would just say 7:05. I wouldn't say it was 7:05. I'd just say 7:05. Very early for me, especially since I had just passed my end of high school exams and hadn't started work yet. Haven't is present tense, and you've written everything else in the past tense. So, yeah. Very early for me, especially since I just passed my end of high school exams and hadn't started work yet. I would skip the next sentence entirely and start a new paragraph. I was still thinking about work. Well, no, she was thinking about her nightmare. She just woke up from, this crappy flashback nightmare, right? So she wasn't still thinking about work. She may have been from the night before, but you didn't show us the night before, right? We didn't see that as an audience. So still feels like, well, what do you mean still? Time starts at the point you start the story. If you haven't explained it in the story yet, it doesn't exist. So, right, you're spinning the world into creation. First, there was darkness upon the face of the deep, and then God said, "Let there be light." Right? Writing is like that. If you haven't said, "Let there be light," there's no light. So, anyway, so I'd start a new paragraph here. Dad told me that he could pull some strings and get me a good job at the Warsaw office of New Food. On the other hand, I didn't want to exploit my dad's personal connections. I thought I might. I would put might because, Sophie's still considering it, right? I thought I might go to the employment agency and work where they assigned ED at the end of that because it's past tense, where they assigned me. New paragraph. Some of my friends from school wanted to join the Enforcer Corps, the military of the Collaborative Unity Government. I was also tempted to enlist. As a daughter of a high official of a state company, I had big chances. I had a good chance of being assigned to officer training. New paragraph. My parents weren't fans of that idea. Everybody knew that something was done to the enforcers to make them loyal to the invaders, or crawls, as they called themselves. Oh, are you switching into present tense here? No, you're not. In the next paragraph, you're going back to past tense. So, yeah, or crawls as they called themselves. And they are practically turned into machines which blindly follow orders. Okay, I get the importance of communicating this idea. Let's try. I would end the sentence. Okay, everybody knew that something was done to the enforcers to make them loyal to the invaders, or crawls, as they called themselves. Period. I shuddered to think of I've skimmed down here and I realized that Sophie has had experience with enforcers, right? I shuddered as I remembered their glassy eyes and their machine-like obedience to orders. And if you do it like that, you've done two things. One is that, okay, well, three. One is you still communicated the same idea, right? The second is that you've given us sensory feelings. She's like, bleh, you know, they're fucking creepy, right? And the third thing, you know, so remember what I said about senses. The more senses you bring to bear, the more effectively you will immerse your reader in your world. If they can feel what the character feels, you're golden, right? So I would do that, right? And then the third thing that it does is that it foreshadows that, you know, it tells the reader, oh, Sophie has had a run-in with enforcers, and they're not good. I can't wait to find out more, right? Give the reader puzzles to solve. Don't hand them all the information. Let them, you know, lead them along and let them figure things out, like leading a trail of breadcrumbs into a forest to get to a candy house, right? You know, do that. And your reader, it's more effective, right? Your reader will stay with you. I'm gonna check out the chat. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's cool, right? It's a pretty common thing, right? One of the most common things. This is about the craft of writing, right? Writing, to some degree, there is creative talent involved, but clearly you've got that, because here you are. You're a world builder. You know, you're on World Anvil. You've got the creative talent needed to do it. The phrasing of things. Oh, thank you very much, the lady writes. Hello. You're lurking and listening. Thank you for the bits. Awesome. I really appreciate that. Good to see you, by the way. How are you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So clearly, like I was saying, Kajutan, you've got the talent, right? But a lot of it is craft, right? And a craft is a skill you have to learn by doing, right? So, you know, and you need someone, you know, people to go through it like this and teach you some of the tricks of the craft. Right? I mean, if you're going to forge, say you're going to forge your own sword, that's actually really difficult. You know, it's really difficult to forge your own sword if you know anything at all about blacksmithing. And I've only done like a little bit of beginner stuff, right? So somebody has to teach you about the art of heating and cooling, right? Somebody has to teach you about the little tricks to keep the bellows going. Somebody has to teach you about, you know, how to, you know, and you've got to learn the feel of hammering things, right? So this is craft, right? So do not take it personally, right? It's all just part of the process, right? So I hope that's, you know, because this is cool and I'm interested in your story. I see where you're going. I like your ideas. I'm engaged. Right? The lady writes is good. That's great. Big smiles. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. I considered myself lucky, as I would say had rather than got, as I had any choice regarding my future career, and my parents gave me as much time as I needed to make the decision. Okay, that's really cool, and I've learned something about your world here. Not everybody gets a choice of what they do professionally for a living. Sophie is in a position of some privilege, and that's cool, right? Her parents gave her as much time as she needed to make the decision, which that means that obviously not everybody gets that, right? But and also a decision is expected. Somebody has to decide what they are doing, right, for a profession. And that is, you know, and nobody gets to just flip from job to job in your culture. That's cool. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read it first and then I'm going to deconstruct, right? I got out of the bed about 30 minutes after waking up. I looked out the window. The view was towards Marjalkovska Street? Kovska Street? Yeah, I hope so. Marjalkovska Street. The building I lived in was a part of the residential complex built in the place of the Palace of Culture and Science, which was severely damaged during the invasion. When the new administration was set up by the invaders, they decided to demolish the palace and build homes in its place. It would have been build here, not built. Or if you want to use built, you could say they decided to demolish the palace, comma, and they built homes in its place. Either one's fine. It's just slightly different tenses there. One is past and one is past perfect. You could use either in this situation, so whatever you prefer, right? Pre-invasion residents of Warsaw were joking that people were arguing about the demolition of the Palace of Culture for more than 100 years and couldn't reach an agreement. Meanwhile, aliens came and just demolished it. The apartment buildings that were put in its place were nice. They were very modern and the apartments were very spacious. I went out of my room and entered the main room. Okay, this is a totally different paragraph now, for sure, right? Because, yeah, okay. So, going back and deconstructing a bit. I got out of the bed about 30 minutes after waking up. I don't think we need that information. I don't think we need to know it was about 30 minutes. I mean, like, if you wanna imply that she was kind of like having trouble motivating herself to get out of bed, I would say that. Right? I would say, it took me some time to get my limbs to obey my commands, but eventually I got up. And the view out my window. I looked out the window. I would go right to the view out my window. Right? Because again, this is sort of this is reading a bit when you use stuff like that. I looked out the window. The view was towards, right? In a way, it can feel a bit like a sit rep, right? This is what happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And, I mean, that works, but, prose is more about making you feel what's going on as if you're there, right? So I would go right to, but that's me, right? The view out my window was towards, Marjalkovska Street. The building I lived in was a part of the residential complex that had been built, I would say myself, in the place or built that had been built where the Palace of Culture and Science once stood. Because you've kind of repeated a lot of the same ideas here, and you can combine sentences with a single change of a couple words here and there that will say exactly what you mean and more clearly, right? Yeah, where the Palace of Culture and Science once stood. And I would do it in this order. Pre-invasion residents of Warsaw joked that people had been arguing about the demolition of the palace for more than 100 years and couldn't reach an agreement. Meanwhile, then the aliens came and just flattened it, and just destroyed it. Just destroyed it. Yeah. Because, I mean, like, the fact that it was damaged during the invasion really isn't that important, other than, if it's going to be destroyed anyway. So they just, they just destroyed it, they just flattened it, whatever. Right? So, yeah. So that's my thought on it. Again, remember when I'm doing these that I'm doing my best to try to help, but you know what your vision is and I don't. Right? So I'm doing my best to try to help you realize your vision. If you really don't like anything I've said, like if you think it actually, and maybe it is, maybe you refer to how it was damaged in the explosion or in the invasion later on in your story, and that's a significant event. If you do, ignore me, right? And put, right? And in which case I would say the building I lived in was part of the residential complex that had been built in the where the Palace of Culture and Science once stood. it had been severely damaged during the invasion. Oh wait, I missed an important part there that we've got to include somehow. Just a second. Pre-invasion residents of Warsaw joked that people were arguing about the demolition of the Palace of Culture for more than 100 years and couldn't reach an agreement. Meanwhile, when the aliens established their new administration, they just came and demolished it, or they just came and destroyed it. Okay. So, new paragraph. Not that I had any complaints about the apartments. They were very modern and very spacious. Nice, you know, comma, semicolon. Nice. Okay, I went out of my room and entered the main room. This is the same thing I'm talking about we don't need to describe every motion. One assumes that if one entered the main room, one left the room one was in, right? Okay. I headed into the main room. I went into the main room. However you want to put that. It was a kitchen, dining room, and living room connected I would say by an open space, right? My parents were already there. That's cool. Or you could also say my parents were already awake. As usual, my mom was getting ready for work. She hadn't been as lucky as my dad. She'd had to go to the agency. She got a job as a garbage truck operator. Yeah. So yeah, now we've confirmed with this, and I like that too, right? That yes, everybody is expected to work. And if you cannot find, if you're not given an opportunity to choose your job, then you get one assigned to you. And it may not be a job you like, right? So this is very much everybody is expected to work and contribute to society. I totally feel that. It's good stuff. Okay. Good world building, right? Okay. New paragraph. While she was getting ready, Dad was making breakfast for himself and me. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. While she was getting ready, Dad was making breakfast for himself and me since Mom had eaten earlier. Try to avoid parentheses unless you need them, right? Editors don't like them. I don't know why. And also, if you're going to put things in parentheses when you're describing a close third-person personal perspective like this, like it's in the third person. Oh no, wait, no, it's first person. I went, I did. Okay, especially when you're gonna describe first person, sorry about that, right? A first-person perspective, right? Then anything in parentheses is a thought, right? Mom ate earlier. Well, she doesn't really know that. She assumes Mom ate earlier. Mom usually eats earlier, I assume, right? But she can't confirm that. So, I would put, since usually Mom ate earlier, right? Or if you want to keep the parentheses, I would put usually Mom ate earlier. Okay. I would put this in a different order slightly, but this stuff here about the Unity News Network, the TV on the fridge was on and playing UNN, the Unity News Network, and playing UNN, the Unity News Network, the only news channel available after the invasion. I sat at the table and looked at Dad. What's for breakfast? Porridge. See, and this is good, because here you did not add a dialogue tag. You assumed that I would know that Sophie is the one who asked what was for breakfast, because Sophie just did something, and then we have the speaking. Well done. Okay. What's for breakfast? Porridge. Porridge available during the occupation was different from porridge before the invasion. You have to say not the one, because porridge is kind of a collective thing, right? So, but I see what you're getting at. And I assume this is probably an English grammar thing. And I'm sorry that it's so fucking fidgety. And I don't mean to be, a grammar Nazi about it, but I want to help you, and other people will critique this stuff if I don't, right? And unfortunately, English readers have little patience for people struggling to write in a second language. And I think they're idiots, but that's just the way that the market works. So, okay. All right, someone will, if you publish this on Amazon, someone would drag you for that. So I don't want that to happen. So, porridge available during the occupation was different from porridge before the invasion. I never figured out what exactly was different. Maybe the grain, or the fact that during the occupation it was packaged by portions in the factory. New food produced it, so I asked Dad about it once. You could also put a comma there. It depends on whether you're using, there's two different systems of grammar. One of them would tell you to use a comma. That would be the Oxford comma, right? So I tend to like the Oxford comma. Ignore me if you don't like it, because nobody's hung up on the Oxford comma anymore, except old bats like me. Anyway, okay. New food produced it, so I asked Dad about it once. He answered that it was better. Remember, because right. He answered that it was better. I didn't know. It scared me a little bit, but didn't stop me from eating it. The porridge was still delicious and nutritious. Generally speaking, those days were very good for me and my family. Okay, now I read ahead here, and I was confused. Right? And this is why. Right? Because we've suddenly just jumped ahead in time. We were immersed in the daily routine of what your characters were doing with, Sophie's dad working at New Food, Sophie's mom is a garbage truck operator, right? Sophie has her choice of whatever she wants to do in as much time as she wants it to figure it out, right? And we're having daily routines, and then bam, we're in somewhere else, and all of a sudden everything's different. You can do that, but there are ways to do it, and we need one of them, right? Also, if we're going to describe the minutia of a daily routine, something important needs to happen during it. So the way I've interpreted the feeling of time is, first we're in a flashback dream. Then we're in Sophie's daily routine. I don't know what Sophie is going to be doing. I assume probably going to whatever passes for school, based on the fact that she described having been 8 years old when the invasion, happened, but the invasion is well underway at this point, right? And I couldn't figure out whether what she's describing here had happened before that or after that, right? I think now it's after that rather than before. Remember, I was just skimming through previously, right? So if it's after that, forget my I shuddered to think about the glassy eyes of the enforcers, because in this time period where she's eating porridge with her family, Sophie has not had that experience yet, right? This is where she has the experience with the enforcers. So, okay, so there's a couple of ways that you can handle this, and it's complex. One is you could have something important happen on that day and make that scene go somewhere, right? It's a normal day, it's high school, she woke up, she ate some porridge, she's going to go do her daily routine, but something happens to make that different even as we're establishing the daily routine. And you know, it could be anything, right? It could be she sees something on the news, right? And it talks about how, you know, new food is under investigation or something, right? And then she was watching news, right? So, you know, and her dad could be all like, shh, you know, as he's trying to watch and listen. And then he gets this pale expression, right? And then you can lead into this scene here, right? If this isn't meant to happen around the time of her high school exam, right, then I would have them discussing that at the table, right? And I wouldn't go ahead to this. I would be like, the porridge was still delicious and nutritious. So, we got the results of your exams back, Mom said as she was buttoning on her uniform. Oh, I said, gripping the edge of the table hard enough to make my knuckles white. How did I do? Dad beamed. Congratulations, you did fantastic. Here's your results. Yeah, right, whatever. And they're talking about that. And she's like, oh, I'm so relieved, right? And then they hear on the news a report about, new foods is being investigated. Dad turns pale, right? He's like, oh shit. And then the knock at the door happens and this whole thing kind of unfolds, right? So if you're going to immerse somebody in an experience, immerse them in the important ones, right? Save the descriptive, this is what happened, for the stuff that is daily routine, right? That's my thought. Am I making sense? Okay. It is my first thing written in first person. It's good. I feel very immersed in the sections that are described. Yeah, warning, most Americans have no idea that porridge is oatmeal. Really? Really? Peas porridge hot. Peas porridge cold. Peas porridge in the pot 9 days old. Right? Goldilocks goes to eat porridge. Too hot, too cold, just right. Americans don't remember those nursery rhymes? Do they not tell nursery rhymes in the United States? I'm sorry, I might not know. I'm in Canada. You know, for me, and porridge isn't necessarily oatmeal, by the way, right? Porridge is any, grain stuff in a bowl, right? It could be Special K, you know? So, usually isn't, but it could be, right? Team Oxford, comma. Oxford, comma is best, comma. Okay, why do I say glassy eyes of the enforcers? I don't recognize the phrase glassy eyes. Oh, okay. And Dinosaur Bob said glassy eyes is that blank stare as if the person isn't really seeing you. Yeah, right. So that's why I suggested it. But if, because that was something I was suggesting as a way to describe how the enforcers were acting. But, as a way to make it more immersive rather than tell the audience that they're kind of brainwashed, to make the audience feel and guess that they've been brainwashed, right? And gives them a puzzle to solve. So, Yeah. Right? So it was my phrase also. It didn't come from your text. It was a suggestion of mine. You can ignore me if you like. It's your book. You do it your way. Right? Esong says, and I'm sorry, Kazutan, I don't know what yes you are was, oh, I'm making sense. Okay. Okay, cool. Good. All right. Okay, Esong says, I know that porridge is oatmeal. I imagine several Americans know that they are the same. I'm not sure I speak for the average person, but I would follow that. And Bob says, unfortunately, yes. Okay. Daz agrees. Fair enough. Bob says, porridge is a nondescript slop that is served in a bowl in fairy tales. Sure. And probably, or maybe that's what Kajutan intended to imply. Right? And Bob points out, Esong, you're a teacher. You're supposed to know stuff. That's legit. Okay. So yes. So I would find a way to bridge these scenes, right? Did you intend for this to be, for Dad to be arrested the same day as they're sitting down and having porridge? You could. It would flow very well. Right, and this would actually be good. Like I totally, I feel your world. I'm getting an idea for the basic routine. You need to do that. You need to establish what the world is about, right, before you fuck it up, right? So we're doing that, and it's good, right? Just I would bridge those two scenes if this is meant to happen later, right? Then what I would do is I would go from the porridge was still delicious and nutritious, right? And I would make the scene go somewhere, right? I would talk about something important, right? So you've got the, that exam coming up. Do you feel you're ready for it? Yeah, I feel I'm ready for it. Or no, I'm terrified. Or yes, she's terrified, but she doesn't want to tell her parents that. So she says, sure, I'll be fine. Well, she's like, clenching her fists under the table, whatever, right? And then I would make a new chapter if you want to break that up. Personally, though, my advice would be make this all on the same day, because I feel like you could really bridge this and it could go together really well. The breakfast scene is after the exam. Okay, perfect. Then what I'm saying will work, right? Find a way to bridge through description, right? What is going on here, right? Like we're sitting at the table, we're eating the porridge. Dad says, the parents say we've got the results back from the exam, right? Whatever, right? Or maybe they already had the results back and now they're discussing. So, do you have any thoughts about what you might want to do? And she, proposes a couple things, which would give you an opportunity to show the reader other aspects of the world, and like what professions are available. What would someone with her education might want to go into, right? What is her training? Because that might be relevant later. She'll know certain things, and those skill sets might be important, right? So you could do any of that. Right? And then I would break it up by having the newscast mention that New Foods was being investigated. Dad go pale, and then at that moment there's a cop knock on the door. Bam, bam, bam. Right? Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Dinosaur Bob says to Kajutan, if you're going to reveal that New Foods porridge is not oatmeal, Soylent Green, then stick with porridge. I wrote that story. Yeah, so. Okay, so we're almost at 3 o'clock, and I want to give you an opportunity to bridge this scene a bit. So perhaps we'll put it up here for now, and if that's okay, and we'll resume Sunday if you like, or if you and I are both around during the course of the week, during Aaron's stream, then we can do it then too. Sound good? Good idea. Okay, excellent. This is awesome. I like where this is going. This is like, okay, I love dystopian, right? A dystopian after an alien invasion, you have my attention, right? The aliens are controlling the world. Awesome. I hope that Sophie is going to be the leader of a massive rebellion and stick it to the man. That's what I'm hoping for. It feels like you're setting that up. I could be wrong, and that's okay. If I'm wrong, that's cool, because then you've got a twist. If I'm right, that's also cool, because then you've got the reader asking these questions and wanting to know the answers. Dinosaur Bob says, I wonder if Kahuna can do Charleston Heston. Yeah, Soylent Green is people! Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you know what, though? Do you have any idea how many people have actually seen that movie? Yeah. This is dating us pretty good, Bob. Yeah, a lot of people have not seen the movie. It's brilliant, right? It really the story that it's based on is also brilliant, and it's classic dystopian sci-fi. It's amazing, but I think a lot of people know the meme without knowing the source. Yeah, see, there we go. Kajitan has no idea what is Soylent Green. Okay, so in the movie Soylent Green, major spoiler, totally wrecked the plot for you. Put in, fingers in ears and go, nah, or put me on mute until you see the break screen at this point if you don't want to know, right? But, okay, so the Earth's climate is collapsing, right, under the weight of overpopulation. This was written in the 70s. Overpopulation was a big deal to them, right? And, yeah. And Soylent Green is people, right? There's this food. It's called Soylent Green. It's better than the mush that they typically have been feeding people with the limited food supply, where they're like making things out of, recycled soy and algae and whatnot. And what they're saying is Soylent Green is a nutritious plankton that is harvested from the ocean, and there's lots of it, and we're good, except that the main character actually accidentally stumbles on the fact that what they're doing instead of burying people is grinding them up and putting them in the food, because that's just how short of protein sources the world is. Soylent Green is people. Everybody loves it, and it's human. Yeah, that's the story. So, which is why that's a meme now, the Soylent Green thing. So I'm sorry if I just, totally spoiled your, your virgin brain, or a spoiler for you. But that's the story. Yeah. All right, we're going to go to the second break. I will be right back. This one will be much shorter. And we're back. Yep, well, I was gone. Kajitan asked, so according to this movie, cannibalism is the answer to overpopulation. Yeah, pretty much. You know, eat recycled food. It's good for the environment and okay for you. Yeah. Okay, so we're in the last hour of the show. And I think that I'm going to get some work done, and I hope you guys will do some work with me. Before I get started, though, right, next week will be the last week of Preptober, obviously, and the topic going to be covered is finding and managing your time. This is a good part of what I teach in the Writing in the Cracks course, right? Now, time management has never been my strong suit. I really cannot say that I'm very good at planning anything in terms of planning it out, because generally in my life, the best way to ruin a perfectly good plan is expose it to the universe. So that's just not gonna happen, right? So I'll make a plan and then something will screw it up. But one thing I can tell you about is finding time. I'm pretty good at that, right? And there is a lot of time in the day that is generally not used that could be. It could be used for writing. This is the secret of my success personally, and if I can help you with that, I would really like to. I was talking to Janet, like I said, I was interviewing her for the If This Goes On, Don't Panic podcast today, and she has also discovered this secret, right? She was telling me about it, and I'm like, yep, I can relate, right? Like, well, you'll get to hear about it in the podcast. I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, Dinosaur Bob says, I'm very good at planning. It's following the plan that needs work. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. So, but one thing I can do is show you that you actually have a lot more time in the day than you think you do. And you can put that to work, right? And I can also give you some help into ways to create the time in which to write, at least for a month. I can do that. Hydrate. Thank you very much. Hail, hydrate, Lady Writes. I need that. It's good. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'll do the rest of the programming notes later on. After Preptober, we'll be into NaNoWriMo, and then it's going to be Game of Tomes all the time, right? For at least a month on this channel. You show up here, we're going to be talking about the Game of Tomes, or we're going to be writing. That's what we're going to be doing. I can't believe that there's like just a little over a week left before Nano. I am so not ready. I so don't have the things done that I wanted to do. But, yeah. At the very least, what I should be doing is making sure that I have all of the stuff that I've previously written in the series in manuscripts. So I think I'm going to make that my focus. Yeah. DM Stretch says, about as far as I get with planning at the moment is meh. No doubt. All sprints all the time. Me too, says Dinosaur Bob. Yes, Dinosaur Bob is one of our streamers who has signed up to do Game of Tomes. Actually, I should do an update on that. So let's look at that. Right here is this the Game of Tomes? No, this is the Game of Tomes here. Right here in the bottom corner, we have streamers who have signed up to do Game of Tomes streams and count your points. Right? If they've got an asterisk beside them, they are not yet an affiliate. Moonflower reached her 50, but she still probably won't be affiliate, she says, because she won't be able to stream often enough before November. Unfortunately, if you are not a Twitch affiliate, you will not be able to track points by our method. So you guys can do word sprints, but you won't be able to track them for the Game of Tomes. I'm sorry, guys. It's just the way the system works. If we introduce another method, it's already complicated. If we overcomplicate it even more, it'll just be a nightmare. So I'm not going to do it, and I apologize. But, okay, people who are confirmed, who are going to be able to keep track of your points, will be Chrysalia, Coffee Quills, Danny Adventures, Darth Nicholas, Davina Androwin, Delian, DM Stretch, Italia C, Hefe, Kahuna the Elder, Dinosaur Bob, RPG Dinosaur Bob, us, Shy Red Fox, Siobhan the Writer, and Writer Greg. So this pretty much covers every time zone. I will go to the Nano streaming calendar for November, and I will show you the daily format. So this is, oh no, that's still October. Okay, just a second. November 1st. So this is what the streaming calendar looks like for the Anvilite Streamer Core in November. All of these events are specifically for Game of Tomes, and NaNoWriMo, and I don't know that I don't know that everybody has put their stuff in yet for NaNoWriMo, but as you can see, there's, you know, a pretty good portion of the day is taken up with opportunities to do writing. These blank spots here, people are likely to fill as things come up, but they haven't scheduled for. I may fill these slots in the evenings here. Did I not invite some of my events to the Nano calendar? I don't know if I did. I'll have to look at that. But yes, I mean, this is like morning for me, so there'll be lots of opportunity to participate, is my point. And I'm excited. I've actually, I don't think I've ever been so psyched for Nano. I've done a lot of pre-stuff this year. I got involved as an official municipal liaison. I'm not sure this was a good idea ultimately because there's a lot of paperwork. I forgot it's a non-profit organization. It has bureaucracy. A lot of it feels like chasing your tail and then trying to coordinate between the three of us who are local municipal liaisons to try to, you know, track events is kind of it's a headache a bit, right? But we're doing it. Is Isaac on the list? They recently submitted. I haven't looked in a couple of days, but I will look as soon as we're done. And if they have submitted, then I will put them on the list, definitely. I do believe that I caught Isaac's stream like a week ago, and they were talking about it, so I will double check. The Lady Writes is off. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the bits and the support. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thank you. Delian says, I may tweak my schedule for November, or I can keep it the same and run sprints during my Wednesday mapping stream. I'll definitely increase my Monday stream length. Yeah, absolutely. And Bob says, I might fill a couple holes too. DM Stretch says, I really need to look at that. Well, here's the schedule, gang. I will put it in the chat so that you can have a look. Yeah. We're going to have fun. It's going to be good. Makara wrote an article for the Second Harvest drink. Neat. That's for Synergazia? Because that would be cool. Alright, so can I get you guys' opinion on something? Okay, I'm going to do a... I'm doing the Dark Harvest Flash Challenge, I think. Because I have to write an article about this anyway. Right, and I'm trying to pick an image for it. Right, now I have an article, just a second here, what is it called? Oro Race. There it is. Good stuff. I will show you. This is the Celebration of Love Flash Challenge article that I made. You notice that there's a particular style of the opening image, right? And this is a vintage artwork by an artist named Warwick Goebel. And I thought, in order to create a consistency of format, I should probably include art by Warwick Goebel for every one of these entries, right? Every one of the holidays that I have created. So, doing a harvest holiday, right? I have gone to public domain images or publicdomainpictures.net, which is a source that I use. Right, I'll put that in the chat because it's actually a very useful website. Public domain pictures.net. If you're looking for an alternative to Pixabay or any of that sort of thing, this can work. So I looked up Warwick Goebel, right, and there's all these different images. Now I've narrowed it down to two. Warwick Goebel illustrated a lot of fairy tales. So this one was an obvious illustration for the Princess and the Frog, right? And this one was an obvious illustration for the Princess and the Swans, right? Which of course are famous fairy tales. However, I feel that I can tell a story around these different images. I picked them because they had the feel of like, it's almost winter, like Halloween, right? The trees are bare, the colors are kind of muted, In this, she's obviously got, it's a ball here, but it also looks like a fruit. And I thought, I don't have to refer them to the fairy tales. The frog could be incidental here. It could be, maybe they go out into the woods looking for omens, maybe, a swan song is, something that, like swan song means the end, right? It's like your last hurrah before the end. It's the call of mourning as something passes away, right? Whether it's a period of your life or some period of success or a person that you love, right? And I thought perhaps I could do something with the concept of the swan song. Which one of these images do you think I should use for my article as its cover image? And if you have any ideas related to it, remember I said it's like the third harvest festival, so nuts and squashes, and also the blood harvest, right? So it's a major hunting festival, right? It's where you slaughter the last of the domestic farm animals before you're not going to feed over the winter, right? And preserve the meat, right? So that's all part of that, right? A little bit of Halloween, a little bit of Remembrance Day, and a little bit of ancestor festivals from various Asian cultures, right? So this is kind of what I've got stewing around in my brain. What do you guys think? I would be curious to know. Reading back in the chat in the meantime. Kajutan says, thank you for today's feedback and have a nice day, good evening, good night. Good, I think it's probably good early morning to you or good really late night. And thanks, Kajutan. I'll see you again soon. Yeah, Makara says now to write the Flames of Remembrance article for the challenge. Yeah, remember the booze challenge? Yeah, I do. Makara says, I mentioned 2 drinks but only wrote 1. Wrote the second now, since it's for the same harvest festival as the Flames of Remembrance Dark Harvest thingy will be. That's cool. Daz says, mine is called A Harvest of Horror. I'm interested already. That's cool too. Flames of Remembrance is cool. Dinner time, later all. Great stream, Sable. Thanks, Bob. Have a good night. Enjoy your food. Mergendor says Swan. They are both cool, but I like number 2. Awesome. Does anybody else have any strong opinions on that? Because that's cool. I'll go with the strongest opinions. I like them both. I think that this has a really mournful feel to it, and I can definitely do something with that, right? So flash back and forth between them again for a moment. Okay. Daz agrees the swans are best. Okay. Awesome. All right, well, if there's no other strong opinions on that, thanks, guys, and we'll stick with that. Burb. Julian's always like, always pick the burb. Yeah, it's cool. I have some kind of half-baked idea in my mind about, because Swans are referred to a lot in elven symbolism. It's an elf holiday, right? So, I'm sure I can do something with that. I've got an idea of them being, say, messengers of the dead, perhaps, or um, something like that, right? A sign of spirits passing on. Swans are beautiful and graceful, and you know their call is really mournful if you've ever heard it, and they're also incredibly bitchy if you try to disturb them when they're nesting. The drakes will beat the shit out of you. I'm not even kidding. They'll come up and injure you with their wings. They're like nasty. I'm more afraid of a swan drake in a nesting ground than I am afraid of a bear. Because a bear, usually you back off, you leave it alone, it'll usually leave you alone. Swans, they'll take the fight to you. So, I mean, there's an aspect of that. I think I've got kind of a half-baked idea about war dead associated with that, and I can create a myth that goes with it. So, okay, all right. I think that's what I'm going with. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate the help. I really was undecided. So, that's great. Shall we get to work, guys? You guys got stuff you want to work on? What are people's current projects that they've got going on? I think I will work on this article for the rest of the stream, is what I think I'm going to do, since we have a little over half an hour left. Delian's going to bed. I'm going to work on sleeping. Thank you for the stream, and see you later. Well, thank you for joining me, Delian. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed your company, and thanks for thanks for voting in my unofficial poll here. So, I appreciate it. Yeah. Sleep well. Now, who's on after me today? I believe it's Black Maggot today, right? Well, Carolverse now. I believe that they have changed their channel to... Oh no, what's this? Cancelled. Cancelled? I have nobody to raid when I'm done? Well, shit. I don't like that at all. Huh. Mergendor says, I'm working on some articles for my pre-nano stuff, trying to get things set up that I will need to include in my story when I madly start writing it. It's awesome. Daz says, I'm working on this article. Also awesome. Yeah, that's good. Getting your articles together for Nano. 1 year I was writing science fiction, and I ended up having to do a lot of research while I was writing. It took twice as long to write the story. I will never do that to myself again. That was grueling. I managed the 50,000 words, but it was by the skin of my teeth, and I was exhausted. Right? So yeah, if you need to do research, I strongly suggest you do it before Nano. If you can at all do that. Yeah. DM Stretch goes, what? Hold on. So he's checking his schedule to see if he can jump into the gap, which is cool. I might be able to talk Aaron into jumping into the gap too. That's possible. I can't today. I have to go take my mom to go vote. So... we have a provincial election going on here. We voted yesterday. The official election day is Saturday, but we're making sure that we go to the early polling stations to, try to space out the crowd and do it as socially distanced and safe as possible, which they did an excellent job of, I have to say. I did a thread on it on Twitter, if anybody wants to know the details. Cool, you can do an hour, but that will be about it. Well, it's stupid o'clock for you, is it not? Like, are you sure you even want to stream? Right, so, yeah, but one of the early voting places is like a block away from my mom, so I'm going to take her to go vote today. So, yeah. It's only 11:30. Okay, so it's not stupid o'clock yet. Okay, that's cool. All right, if you're going to jump on after me, then we will raid you. That sounds fine. I think probably Aaron isn't in the chat anymore. because he's probably watching the Young Turks, because that comes on at 3 o'clock my time. You just put yourself in the nano calendar. Excellent. That's great. I can't wait to see what the schedule looks like. That's awesome. I will fill in more gaps. I'm going to be writing anyway. I might as well stream it while I do if there's nobody else in the slot. I just didn't want to dominate the schedule. We already stream a lot, and I wanted to give other people the opportunity to get in their licks and decide what they're going to do. But if there's a bunch of gaps by next week, I might fill in some of them. So, yeah, we are trying to stream at least daily. So, hold on one moment. I will go and talk to Aaron and see if he wants to jump on after stretch, just so that we know what the plan is. I'm only going to be gone a minute or two. Be right back. Yeah, so Aaron says he will stream after DM stretch. I figured that since I had to get up anyway, I might as well give you guys some cat tacks. My poor baby is feeling much better. He has an upper respiratory infection, but he got some antibiotics yesterday and he is feeling much better today. So I'm very happy about that. Yeah, poor baby, little sneeze there. So go lie down and get some rest. He's much more lively today. I was very worried about him the day before yesterday. I'm like, yeah, that's it. He's going to bed. So, all right. Let's get to work. I'll put up a sprint screen, shall I? And we're off. I'm going to start by downloading this picture. Somewhere in here I have the file manager. Bless you, kitty. Poor kitty. Because it kind of changes my display. All right. So then. You lost me? How the hell did you lose me? Oh well. Did it shut down my stream? Damn them if it did. You know, I really hate trying to upload my stream when it's in two parts to YouTube. It just bothers me in a bothery way. No, okay, good. It didn't register it as another stream. That's good. I don't mind if there's a little break in the middle of it. Bergendor's still here. Okay, cool. Makara's off to bed. Have a good night. Thank you for joining me. Damn Stretch says, never fallen asleep on my keyboard, more leaning back in my chair with head forward, either that or the sofa. I do that, leaning back on my chair with my head forward. It's because I worked as a graveyard shift dispatcher and I used to nap that way. That's so cool. Is that a pumpkin eating the right emote there, Daz? That's amazing. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's so cool. I love it. I'm gonna have to do that now. That's cool. That is awesome. I love it. It's so cute. Oh wow. You're so clever, Daz, with that stuff. I just love it. Alright, images and files. Bless you, kitty. Now I just have to remember where the hell I put my, other image. Ah, I have an image called Holidays. I more than likely put it there. Yes, I did. Good for me. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Nice change of pace. DM Stretch, that is fucking awesome. I just love it. More accurate than you might imagine, right? You know? Witch hat on a pirate. Kind of like, you know, I almost should make that a logo. That's pretty awesome. That's great. So cool. Witch hat on right. Yeah, that is really cool. I love it. Pumpkin eating the raid, the Jolly Roger there. That's really cool too. Because then you end up with like skull and crossbones in the pumpkin's mouth. That's great. So much fun. I have to play with that later. Alright, so you are the one I want. Okay, just making sure I had the name right. Add to holidays. There we go. Now, I've got to say that I vastly prefer this system rather than having to go through and find the article in a list. Just starting to type the name or the picture in the list, just starting to type the name and then being able to pick the picture just makes me happy. I have to say. So now I can close all these windows because I do not need them anymore. I can close that window. I can close Kazutan's window. We don't need Thesaurus. That was something else I was looking at. Okay. Just a list of Discord servers that have NaNoWriMo as a tag. Alright now. I called it Aurora's Flowering of Love. Arame. Song of Death, or Death Song. Song of the Dead. There we go. I like that. I like that better. Excuse me. Yeah. Song of the Dead. Hey, maybe the word for swan song in Elvish means Song of the Dead. And that is that's the link. That's cool. That could be a thing. Festival honoring ancestors and the dead. The word Arame in Elvish. I think I actually made a stub for Elvish. I did. I haven't conlanged it yet, but I got ideas. Elvish. Also the name for the call, the mournful call of a swan. Thus, the word also has connotations of, this paragraph might end up in an allowed blurb in the sidebar, but we'll find out. I'll write it here now. It can always be moved later. It's also the name for the mournful call of the swan. Thus the word also has the connotations of swan song. Oh, for crying out loud, you stupid keyboard. I don't know what's your problem. Swan song. in some human cultures, and one of the most distinct symbols of Aramay as a holiday is okay. No, that's not what I want to say. In some human cultures, and swans are strongly associated with this observance. I think I'll add the holiday may in fact have been named for the cries of swans as they gather to fly south for the winter. Thus the word also has connotations of a swan song in some, as in some human cultures. And I think I should probably put a link to definition of a swan song. That's the end of the sprint. How'd you guys do? I uploaded a picture and I did... Oh geez, it's been a while since I've been back here, hasn't it? Plus I did all the words in the description of the picture, so 63 words otherwise. Pumpkin eating the raid flag is amazing. And the writing thing, that's awesome. My quill and paper there, right? I like the sunglasses over the skull and crossbones and the raid flag too. That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Right on, guys, you're fun. DM Stretch says, so for Nano itself, not Game of Tones, can I just write in any program? Do I actually have to submit anything? Not sure how that sides of things worked. Oh my goodness, I have not taken you through this. I will do it. Okay. You don't even have to write in... Let's see, we've got 10 minutes. We don't have time for another sprint. I will go to the downtime image for the moment. Okay, you don't even have to write in World Anvil in order to do Game of Tones. We're opening it to anybody who is participating in National Novel Writing Month as a participant, right? Whether you are, you know, registered at the official site or not. If you are streaming the content, you should probably be using World Anvil, because that's part of what we try to do at the Anvilite Streamer Core, right? We're about Anvilite content, right? At least we're going to register it as official ASC events. If not, we don't have to worry about it. And you know what? I'm not really, I don't know. I don't personally like, you know, write and get people involved. That's what I'm happy about. So, bio break before a stream. Damn it. Okay. Well, I'll tell you to look at the end of the VOD then, because if we're gonna have, well, no, I'll wait till you get back. Tell me when you get back, Stretch. Somebody tell Stretch to tell me when he gets back. Okay. Dazzlecat says, so, is a bard that tells tales more properly called a skald? Damn, Stretch is back. Okay, to answer the question, bard and skald and troubadour are all words for basically the same thing, right? And jongleur is also another such word. They're all entertainers, and often they all did combinations of songs and storytelling and even performance, right? Like juggling or whatever, depending on the culture. But different cultures emphasize different things. A skald is a Norse word, and it's more likely to be like epic poetry, right? So they're telling a tale, right? While a bard is a Celtic word, and they're more likely to be singing as well as doing poetry. And even if they're doing poetry, they're likely to be doing it to music, like troubadours. I wish this question didn't come up at the end of the stream. I could spend half an hour talking about this, but I don't have time right now. I'd say, honestly, check out the words on Wikipedia as a starting place to learn more about what each of those mean. Now, if you're going to talk about them in terms of like role-playing games, you might want to use Skald to describe a particular type of performer. I believe that Pathfinder differentiates between the Bard class and the Skald class, and they do different things, right? So in that context, yes, right? In the historical context, it's just different words in different languages. No, it's fine. Actually, it's a subject I'm really interested in. Is the problem, Daz? I'm like, I've been fascinated by the history of the troubadours for a very long time. They had their own culture and their own way of doing things. We'll get into it some other time, right? Maybe when my story comes out later, like probably in November or December, we'll talk about it then, because yeah, it'll give me an opportunity to discuss that because it's such a fascinating period of history, right? In the meantime, NaNoWriMo. One thing I can do that is very useful is show you guys how to sign up to the official site. So here's what you do. You go to nanowrimo.org. I'll put the link in here. If you want to officially sign up at the Nano site, which I do recommend. But if you're kind of like, you know, me and some other friends that I know, and you'd rather, you know, try something out before committing to it, then you can do that. Okay, so first when you show up there, right, it'll ask you to log in, right, because I'm logged in, so it's going right to my account, right, but it'll ask you to log in, right, and if you haven't logged in, it'll ask you to sign up and confirm your email address through your, whatever your email account is. Once you've done that, it'll log in here, right? So these are a variety of, like this is where you find the information. You would go to My Nano, and you can set up your profile, your stats, your project, and your buddies. Buddies are people that you connect with on NaNoWriMo, and it'll send you information about how they're doing and milestones they've reached if you sign up, you know, but you have to give each other permission to have that information. You can't just automatically look into it. Now, the section that you want in particular is projects. So I will go to the projects section. It will take forever to get there. So at least I hope. All right, so these are all the various projects that I have done over the course of NaNoWriMo, Camp NaNoWriMo, etc., etc., right? As you can see, some of them are me approaching, you know, revisiting old stories and finishing them. Okay, some of these stories have been published. What you would do is you would hit this button here, the teal button that says Announce New Project, and then it will give you information, right? It'll ask you, and I'll click on my project here because this is the information it'll ask you for, right? First of all, it'll ask you if you want to upload a cover. This is just a cover I put together for myself when it was still fan fiction, right? And it inspires me. They suggest that because apparently you're more likely to finish if you have a cover, right? Edit details, right? And then it'll ask you about the information, right? So what's the name of your project? You know, so you give the name, right? What stage is it in? I'm currently prepping, right? How much privacy do you want? Only me, buddies, or public? I do my projects public because, hey, maybe I'll inspire other people, right? What type of project is this? Novel, short stories, memoir, script, other, right? If you're officially signing up for NaNoWriMo in November, it might require you to select novel. It'll ask you for your genres, offer a project summary, like, that's your book blurb basically, right? Excerpt would be a piece of something in the book that you're pretty proud of, so I usually don't do that right away. And then for your own inspiration, this is the kind of stuff that Janet talks about when she's talking about meta in agile world building. There's a link for your Pinterest if you want to put a link to an inspiration board, and the project's playlist. I will put that in there, I just haven't gotten around to it yet, right? Because I'll borrow this from my World's Meta article, which is where I've registered it, right? Yeah, so then you save the changes, and now you've declared your project, right? Profile you can fill out if you want to, and as much information as you want. Here's a little bio bit. It'll ask you about your favorite authors and series, right? There are badges. These are self-assigned badges, right? And then these are badges that you earn over the course of the event, right? So I have declared myself a planter, right? That's what this badge means. Yeah, you found the sweet spot between plotting every detail and jumping in blind. Yep. I have said that I am in it to win it. I have announced to the world that I'm doing this project and that I intend to get 50,000 words. You do that so that you're accountable. Public embarrassment is often a wonderful motivator. So if you declare you're going to do it and then you don't do it, you feel like an idiot, right? When you say, oh, I didn't do it, right? So it's a good motivator for some people to do that. Some people, it's just too much pressure. So don't do that to yourself. You don't want to, right? You know yourself what's going to motivate you. The accountability is good for me, personally, right? Rimo Spirit, you earned this badge by taking time to support other writers. I think that's what I'm trying to do here. I hope it's been helpful. Right? Nano Rebel, I am not writing a novel from the beginning. So I am a Nano Rebel. Stay home. I've earned this badge by staying home and not making myself a potential disease vector by going out in the universe. This is new this year. Right? This vote thing, I don't know how I feel about, but you know what? I just voted in a provincial election, so I can give myself that. I don't think this should be a badge. I'm complaining about that. Right? Because, you know what? Okay, fine, this is based in the United States, but obviously people all over the world do it. That's not fair. That's a badge. If you don't have an election, you can't give yourself this badge, right? And all you guys who are all into all the badges, right? You'll know what I'm talking about. But I voted, so. Okay, this is for you earn along the way. You earn badges for updating your progress, right? For the number of days in a row that you have done it, right? If you update your progress every day, then you get this badge happening, right? Achieve par every day. That's a new one. I may not be able to do this one, right? Earn this badge by hitting your daily par every single day. I sometimes do like 2 or 3 days of like 500 words and then do like 3 or 4 days of like 2,500 words. So we'll see, right? And then these are different landmarks. You did your first 1,667, you did 5K, 10K, 25K, 40K, and you did it all, right? How you update your progress. When the event is launched, there will be a counter up here in the teal section that will say add your word count, and you click on that and it'll give you the opportunity to do that, right? You can also do it here under stats, right? So writing is not started keeps track of your daily word count roughly when you run, right? And if you miss a day, right, you actually can add it if you wrote on that day. So, and then there's other things here like community. Maybe you want to join a home region. This is my home region. This is the BC Okanagan region. This is the region for which I am one of the municipal liaisons. These are my co-liaisons here. And you have kind of a, group Facebook chat kind of deal happening, right? And also there's a link here to forums, which is, more like forums. You have an event page, right? These are registered events that people have offered. I have to put in a couple of mine as well, right? And then there's an admin section for, people like me. This picture of Okanagan Lake, by the way, which is kind of the defining geographic feature here. It's a huge lake, and it's what kind of connects all our valley together. So that's why it's a picture of it. So you can find regions anywhere in the world. It's really kind of fun to connect with your local writers. It's much more fun in other years because you actually get to go meet them. But next year, right? And it might be fun to know there's people in the area. So yeah, and that's how you sign up. I could go into more detail about the site, but go explore it. It's cool. So you paste what you wrote and you count, and it counts it, says Daz. At the end, at the beginning of the contest, during the process of it, you tell it what your word count is in numbers, right? And you can either tell it your total overall, right? And it will update it, or you can choose to tell it the, how many words you did today, right? You can even do it frequently and add words after every sprint if you want, right? I wouldn't recommend that. You'll be at it forever, right? And it'll also, if you like, you can record things like where you were when you wrote it, right? Were you at home, or were you out at a coffee shop, or were you at a library, right? It'll ask you these things if you want to fill it out. You don't have to, right? And it'll keep track of what time of day you did it at. And over time, it'll tell you roughly when the time is that you tend to do the most writing, right? Which is useful if you're trying to establish a regular writing time. So, yeah. Hello, Nova. Good to see you. You're just catching the end of the stream. We're about to go raid DM Stretch here in a minute. I was just explaining about Nano. Mergendor says there was no one in my region. Really? Do you mind sharing your region? I will look for you, because you can search out a region. Let's see here. We'll go to community. Find a region. It may not be listed under what you think it's listed under. So that could be a thing. DM Stretch is live. Okay, we'll go over Arkansas. Of course there's somebody in Arkansas. My goodness. I don't know why this is taking 10,000 years to load. Just a minute. All right. So let's start with United States. Or maybe I had to look under America. I don't know. Wow, you're slow. What are you doing? Okay, how about Okay, Arkansas. USA, Arkansas. So, these are general areas, right? Near Conway, Fayetteville and NWA, Fort Smith, Hot Springs and Little Rock, Jonesboro, or Jonesboro, depending. I don't know how you guys say it locally. Russellville and Searcy, right? And if you don't fall within any of those areas roughly, then you would go to Arkansas elsewhere, right? And that is how you would join. Daz says, my nearest group is just over 100 miles away. There used to be Vancouver, BC Vancouver, BC Victoria, and elsewhere. BC is a province that is almost like, I think almost 2,000 kilometers from north to south. So that's a big bloody area. Oh, you're in Little Rock. Okay, glad I was able to connect you. Right, so that used to be a thing, right? Because the population was such that, you know, we didn't have our separate group. Now the Okanagan has a separate group, but that's still, like, it takes 4 hours to drive the length of the Okanagan Valley area. So I'm sure that it's more than 100 miles. Yeah. So yeah, right? And sometimes we've had to do a fair bit of driving, but it's still kind of cool to connect with people who are kind of around you. Hey, Song. Welcome back. We're about to go raid DM Stretch, though, because I'm just at the end of the stream. I was just helping people get connected with their local group at NaNoWriMo or sign up. So thank you all for joining me today. I have had a lot of fun. I really hope that I've been of help to people. Right? Let's see. Tomorrow, I believe Aaron has a writing stream in the evening, and he's probably going to hop on for a little bit after DM Stretch. So let's see here. Yeah. Well, that's a big chunk, actually, isn't it? Okay. So I don't know how much of that he'll be doing. Maybe he'll do it all. Right? But he'll hop on here in a bit, and if not, the next time we are online... This isn't State of the Multiverse this week? Just a second here. Oh no, next week. Okay. Sorry, I'm like, it's gotta be close to the end of the month. So then the next time that Aaron is streaming, yes, will be tomorrow night for us, and it's a fairly late night. It'll start at 11 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, so adjust that according to your calendar. 6 to 10 a.m. it looks like in Universal Time. And then on Friday he is back, Aaron is back at 1 o'clock Pacific time with Ask an Old GM. Yeah. So that's what we got coming up. Hopefully we'll see you guys later tonight. Maybe I'll get involved on the writing too, depending if I have the time. Dad says, I'm happy to stay home in Nano with my online buddies. Right on, me too. Mergendor says, great stream. I love it. Thanks so much. Thank you guys. You guys always make it the great stream, because this wouldn't be nearly as much fun without, you know, the community and you guys interacting and, you know, getting involved and helping each other out, which is great. Alright, we're gonna go see DM Stretch. Don't forget that our raid call is prepare to be boarded, because we are the Sable's privateers. And this has been good. I might see you guys later tonight. If not, I will see you on Sunday for Sable's World Forge. Have a great evening, everyone. This was good.